Breaking news. I am Patricia Waldorf, and I am reporting to you live from the Literature of the Time News. We have two rule breakers. Walt Whitman, Emily Dickinson, running around in the times of the Civil War. Off to you, Serena Vanderwood. I'm Serena Vanderwood, and today I will be interviewing Mr. Walt Whitman and Mrs. Emily Dickinson. Hello, I'm Serena Vanderwood, reporting to you live with Walt Whitman. So, Walt, I see you shaved your beard.
Indeed.
Mr. Whitman, are you aware that your poetry is illegal?
Well, Serena, indeed I am.
Tell me, what are your poems like?
Well, Serena, I write my poems in free verse. My fans really appreciate them. They are very expansive, and my fans really do appreciate them.
Well, that's all I can get from Mr. Whitman. As one can infer, he's more of a writer, not a talker. Back to you, Patricia Waldorf, for some key facts about Mr. Whitman. A few key things you need to know about Walt Whitman. In 1855, he published his own book called Leaves of Grass. His poetry is very loose and rambling because he refuses to be traditional. He saw America as a great poem. His romantic style emphasized emotion, individualism, and nature. And now for Emily Dickinson's interview. Hello, Mrs. Dickinson. Tell me about your poetry. Where do you find your inspiration to write these poems?
Well, I find my inspiration deep in my own thoughts.
From reading your poems, I've noticed they are compressed and terse.
Yes, I put in themes of life such as love, death, immortality, and nature.
Yes, your poems seem very personal. I have also noticed that you are a very unromantic writer.
I am. I like to put in images of household items. That way everyone can relate to my poems.
I see. Well, thank you for your time. Some of the most powerful literary voices during the Civil War were often African Americans. Slaves shared their personal experiences through diaries and letters. These were known as slave narratives. Slave narratives were published by former escaped slaves. Narratives made readers care by showing that they were real human beings that suffered and wept for freedom.
And just me and you, just as free as we'll ever be, just as free.
Realistic writers showed the harsh period in the war. They focused on human tragedy of war that destroyed hundreds of thousands of American lives. In later years, Romanticism changed to realism. People noticed the reality of the harsh effects of the Civil War. Realism is the form that dominates American literature today.
Here are some key people that contributed to the literature of the Civil War. Frederick Douglass, Emerson Longfellow, Preston S. Brooks, Dred Scott, Florence Nightingale, Henry David Thoreau, John Brown, Abraham Lincoln, Charles Darwin, Charles Dickens, Jean Foucault, General William Tecumseh Sherman, Leo Pasteur, Fyodor Dostoyevsky, Mark Twain, Bret Harte, and Hiram R. Revels. Maggie Lyon as Patricia Waldorf. Elizabeth Lee as Serena Vanderwood. Sarah Gordon as Emily Dickinson. And Brennan Bibbs as Walt Whitman. Thanks for watching!